we're back. And this time I need to update you on what's happening with the ZIG. I want to go back in time just a teeny weeny bit. But I'm Lynette Zang, founder and CEO of Zang Enterprises. And what makes us different is that we actually have a sound money strategy. And it is based on constitutional money, gold and silver. And I'm going to show you why. Because, of course, we're seeing our stock market make all-time highs. Everything is rosy-tozy. And wow, there's all that liquidity that's sitting out there that could just drive that stock market up. Except that really that's about trying to keep pace with inflation and the inflation that's growing. And so we have a great example of Zimbabwe to look at. And with their market hitting new highs, what do we see? Zimbabwe's ZIG, so when they brought the new currency in that's supposed to be backed with gold in April, they reset the currency. And what do you have? The stock market just wiped out all of the gains because their currency was going back to what was original. Right? I mean, their currency was being reset to zero. That's really what I mean to say. So you're seeing a plunging stock market. But quite honestly, with the US and in other parts of the world, with the stock market going so high, I don't know, call me crazy. But 1 trillion times zero is zero. And what do central banks always do? This is what they do. They just print more money and then wonder, why are the stock market? Why is the real estate market? Why are these fiat money markets going up? It must be because the economy is so good. No. It's because they keep doing this. And it takes more and more of those dollars or anywhere you are in the world to buy the same amount of goods and services. And so because Zimbabwe has lost all confidence, what are they doing to get the confidence back? Well, their 6th iteration of money. And this one's called Zimbabwe Gold because they want you to think about it as gold. Well, is that happening? Well, let's see. Zimbabwe central banker stockpiles gold in a move to bolster the ZIG currency. And they target the gold reserves, and they do that. By the way, remember how they instituted those gold coins to help those 1%ers hold their purchasing power value? Well, when they brought the ZIG in, boom, gold coins scrapped. It seems to me like they could be at the beginning of a confiscation, but I don't know. I'll show you what I found, and you can figure that out for yourself. Gold coins are scrapped and redirected to build up their bullion reserves on which this new currency is considered backed. Zimbabwe says their push to ZIG is the sole currency. So they're basically trying to position their population to just use the ZIG. Now, you cannot convert that into the underlying gold, and so it's really not holding the government's toes to the fire. But if they can get everybody just to use the ZIG and no other currencies like the dollar or like gold, the sound money, then they've kind of got you where they want you again, don't they? But I'm telling you, unless you can convert whatever that intangible fiat money asset is into sound money, it ain't over yet. And we're watching it unfold. Can they regain the public confidence by doing that? Well, interestingly enough, hyperinflation is still fresh in the minds of most Zimbabweans, especially when they're continuing to see inflation rates of 96% officially. So even though they've converted to the new ZIG and some other things have cut back, like the stock market and other things, their inflation rate is still running high because they really haven't changed the behavior yet. They've vowed to not print more money than they have gold in reserves, but will the population believe it? Well, why should you believe it? They have abused the population so much The only way to believe that they're serious this time, frankly, and I hope somebody there is listening to me and taking it to heart, if this is what they really want to do, then they have to give the public the tools to hold the government's toes to the fire. And the only tool that will really do that is if they have the ability to pull the gold out of the system. Just like we used to do in the U.S. prior to 1933. But gold reserves have grown 30%, boosted by stopping gold coin sales and through royalties that we are collecting from mining companies. And let me tell you, there are so many different ways that you can name confiscation without actually saying confiscation. And royalties is one of those. But if the ZIG, the paper ZIG or the electronic ZIG is the only currency that the population can transact in, then you've gone out of the frying pan into the fire and you have no alternative. It's kind of like in the US where everybody's used to dollars. It makes it hard for them to think that the dollar's going away, even in the face of inflation. And inflation in Zimbabwe has not yet calmed down. But hey, since April, Zimbabweans are using more of the gold-backed ZIG to pay for 40% of the transactions. Out of the chute, that was 20%. So on the face of it, it looks, all right, pretty good. They're gaining more traction in there. But frankly, it's the government's use for 80% of trade that they're getting to use the ZIG for that's really keeping that kind of sort of propped up against other currencies. It's not real though. It's not real until you get to hold your like this is, I gotta tell you, this is really why I give you the links to everything underneath, because I don't want you to take my word for anything, but I don't want you to take everybody or anybody else's word for anything either. So I give you the links, hold my toes to the fire. I have that conversation with you guys every single Tuesday, and you can ask me any question, and you don't even have to be nice about it. I give you the tools to hold my toes to the fire. I think we need to demand that of our government and of our central bankers too. And the only way to do that is through a sound money strategy, because you're becoming your own central banker. But let me go on with this. Zimbabwe gold is only circulating in electronic form. So even though they have the bills, as of August 21st, it's just circulating in electronic form. It's not even in paper form. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. And the dollar continues to be the dominant currency for trading. So it doesn't seem to me like it's gaining as much traction as it should or could. And I'm thinking that this is something that's going to happen and showing up all around the world. That's why it's so important for us to do a global community that converts any of this garbage. And yes, that is a monopoly money right there, because the only difference between this and this is the acceptance of it. That's it. So why not put it there? Because it's true. Do it yourself. Do it yourself by buying gold and silver. Well, this is the nation's 6th attempt at introducing a stable local currency in 15 years. It hasn't worked yet. But here we see that Zimbabwe inflation surges for the first time since the ZIG was launched. Wait, what? But this was supposed to tame that inflation. Doing the same thing and expecting the same results is a definition of insanity. Of course not. The nation started measuring inflation in ZIG in May. And they're going to blame the inflation on severe drought. Well, that could certainly be true, but it's also the loss of ability to actually transact on a global basis in this currency. They need everyone to have confidence in the currency. And of course, that confidence starts at home. But I'd like you to see here, Zimbabwe inflation rate climbs, and it's the first rise since the ZIG was introduced. That wasn't all that long ago. So yeah, it worked at first because what did they do? Bam! They cut off the value of the old currency and converted into the new currency. It's how they do it. And they're vowing not to print more ZIG than what they have gold and other currencies in deep storage. But once that confidence is lost, I mean, I'm taking heed of this, but quite honestly, all governments and central bankers, you know darn well they're watching this. What is it going to take once that confidence is lost to regain that confidence? Can they do it? I'm telling you, it's having it convertible, because that's what this is showing me as well. But I could be wrong. That's why I'm watching it so closely. And what I also find quite interesting is that currency exchanges, even though this was April, May, currency exchanges are still not using the ZIG. They're still using the old Zimbabwe currency. And so that chart looks really, really interesting, which is why I'm showing it to you. This is the US dollar versus the Zimbabwe currency. And you can clearly see this huge overnight reset, and then months of nothing. And then all of a sudden in August, the dollar against the Zimbabwe currency exploded again, and up over a 10-year period, 11,248%. That's a pretty good protection, right? But here is spot silver versus the Zimbabwe currency in that same time frame. You see the same pattern here. That same time frame, instead of the $11,000% growth, it's over 15,134.6. So silver has completely outperformed, even the spot silver market completely outperformed the US dollar, which is what most Zimbabweans are still using to transact business. I thought that was super interesting. What about spot gold? Well, there you go. There's spot gold in terms of the Zimbabwe dollar. You see, again, the same kind of behavior, but instead of 15,000.1, it's almost 15,000.3%. So spot gold has outperformed spot silver. Spot silver has outperformed the US dollar. What is it that you want to be holding when these currencies reset? This is a choice that you must make, because quite honestly, these spot markets are all manipulated. It's really the physical market. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. What central bankers and governments want is for you to be completely and absolutely under their control and under their surveillance. Do you want that? If you do, keep all your wealth in fiat money assets. Go ahead. Rock and roll hoochie coo. I can't tell you otherwise, but I can tell you that is not what I want. Not for myself, not for all of you, not for all of our children and all of the future generations to come. This is so critically important. I cannot stress it enough. It is time, if you haven't done it yet, it is time for you to click that link and set a time to set up your own sound money strategy. But remember too, at Zang Enterprises, we have a whole plethora of talent in our community, in all of the aspects of the mantra. You're going to see it when we unroll the new YouTube channel, which is a little bit down the road, but know, number one, that if you have those questions too, we'll get you to the right person to answer those questions on how to grow your food and take care and make sure you have water security and energy security and barterability and wealth preservation. Let's be a community, which we are. Let's grow this community on both a local and a global basis and come together to help each other weather this storm and create our own power. Because I really do think that if we can get enough people that convert their fiat garbage, their government debt-based garbage, into sound money, and you have your own sound money portfolio, when they say jump, we get to say, nope. If all you have is held inside of this market based on whatever government is issuing this junk, just like all of these currencies that don't exist anymore, and there are lots more, there's over 4,800 of them, and more, frankly, every day, as I've been showing you, as one currency and another currency resets because of this inflation and the hyperinflation, because of all the government manipulation and money printing. I mean, if you haven't done it yet, get it done. Click that link, set up your own strategy. If you need help in the other mantra areas, let us know, because all of us here at Zang Enterprises are here to be of service to you. So I will keep you updated on what's going on with the ZIG and in Zimbabwe, because this is showing us the most likely outcome on a global basis. This is a global issue. We're at the end of this currency's life cycle. Officially, we virtually have no purchasing power left in the currency. The only thing holding it together is your confidence. How could the dollar ever go away? Even in the face of that inflation, which is showing you that its value is declining. And the higher the inflation, every time you go to the grocery store and you see those food prices rise, what that's really showing you is how much less value in terms of purchasing power. I mean, 1 trillion times 0 is 0. 10 trillion, quadrillion, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Get it done. We are running out of time. Become your own central banker, and we will help you do that. So until next we meet, let's come together in community, both local and global, because together we can make a positive difference and demand a seat at the table if enough of us do this. And so until next we meet, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.